Okay, so back again to SQLite real quickly. We'll be going here quite often. Open this and let's get back. There. Okay, so what I want to do is try and execute an SQL. So what I'll do is I'll just say select all from users like this. So I want to test what the limits of SQLite in terms of the query. So if I run this, you see it shows me good results here. But let's try and just get where ID is equal to 1 and 5. So let's say from users where ID is equal to 1, and let's use that and percent ID is equal to 5. So let's try this. Go. Okay, so the execution finished with errors. So it's saying there's an error at line 1. Wow, not so much information there now, is it? But I know it's this and here. So let's replace this and with an and like that. And let's try this again. You know, sometimes when you're used to doing complex things, you end up forgetting the simple stuff. Here when I say select all from users where ID is equal to 2 and ID is equal to 1, there's no such record actually, because there's only one ID and it can only be equal to either 1 or 2. We can't have, oh my goodness. So if I put or here, I should get a result, right? Oh, there we go. This is insane. Okay, let me try the double pipes there and try this. So the double pipes don't work, which means the double and percent won't work either. Ah, goody. Okay, so we have an actual error there. So what I'll do is let me put an or there and let me see what two things are correct about, let's say ID is equal to 2 and username is equal to Mary. So I want to get that record. So I'm going to use the and sign and then I'll say username is equal to, and then I'll do Mary over there like so in quotes. Okay, so let's run that and it gives me the result that I want. So this and works just fine. Now let's change that to an and like this. It doesn't work. Let's double it up. It doesn't work either. Okay, so we found our problem here. All right, so I'm going to close this and I will say discard whatever we've done here. Very good. I tried to Google the problem, but I had no internet, unfortunately. So I had to figure it out myself. Okay, so let's open that again. Now what we can do here is let's go to our code itself. And I'm going to go to the database. This is the beauty of using object-oriented programming. Yeah. So because what's happening now is I have to change something fundamental about how the database, how we read from the database. Now imagine if I had a lot of database connections and all that, I would have to go through each one of them to change how they read from the database. So here what I'm looking for is model.php because it's the one that contains these functions that insert, blah, 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 etc., etc. So I'm looking for wherever I use the ampersand and I want to replace it with the actual and. Like here you see that, that's double and. Let me select all of those instances of the double and. I'm pressing Ctrl D once I select the first one, and then every time I press Ctrl D it selects a new one. So everywhere here I want to put and like this. I'll capitalize it like that, but it's case insensitive so it doesn't really matter, but that should solve the problem. Okay, so what you should do is if you find that a certain query doesn't seem to work in SQLite but it works in MySQL, that's normal. So what you do is you go back to your SQLite browser and try to execute that query and see if it's going to run as intended. That way you will learn what works with SQLite and doesn't work with what works with MySQL but doesn't work with SQLite. Anyway, let us log in now and do this. Password, yes. Admin. Now I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this time it's going to show up here. Oopsie. Okay, so it doesn't work now either. So it says general error near and syntax error. So this is a syntax error from MySQL. Okay, so to solve this problem, let's look at where the error is actually occurring instead of just doing some guesswork. So here it's in the database.php on line 36. Let's go to line 36, which is right about here. So it's trying to run this and it's finding that on line 36 it's definitely not from in here, so it's from the query itself, I guess. Okay, so in that case we're going to follow it up into the sales page itself. So let's go to where is sales anyway. Where is sales? What is going on here? I have sales edit but not sales view. Okay, so I'm going to have to find all the queries that have a %, which is like this one right there, right? This is a no-no. So what I can do is, using Sublime Text, I can search all files and find the files that have that double %, by pressing Ctrl-Shift-F. Or you can go to find and say find in files. And let's find that % everywhere it is, in every file that it belongs. So the results are in, and so it's in the admin controller, it's also in the delete user, it's also in the edit user. These are all controllers, by the way. And it's also in the product edit, product delete, product edit, the profile page, sales delete. Oh my goodness. And it's also in the oh, this one is not part of the query. So remember that it has to be part of the query for it to make sense, because here this is not part of the query, so this is fine. We don't need to change this. Same as here, same as there, same here, same there. So it's not actually that bad because these are not queries. We're just looking for where it is used as a query. Okay, so this is all good. This is all good. Okay, pretty straightforward. So there are just a few places where it's used as a query. This is in here. This is a query in the admin controller. And delete user, no. Okay, so that's the only place where we used actual. So that's the admin control. So that's good since we are in here. So all I have to do is select this same thingy. It's only two places, is it? Let's see, where? There. Okay, pretty good. So I'll select this one alone and do and like that. Let's go up here, looking for where it is in the queries. There we go. And this one as well. And so as long as it's an and within a query, we must change it. Okay, so let's do a final search right here. Control F, find. So I'm just looking for wherever it's found, and okay, so we've gone through all of them. The only remaining ones are these two, which are not part of the query. So let's save that. This should save us now. Fingers crossed. Let's try again. Email at email.com. Password. Back to the button of death. Okay, so let's click it this time and hope we don't see a game over. No. Okay, so it says general error again. Okay, the error has changed, so which is good. It means we have solved the previous problem. Now we just have a new problem. Okay, so general error, it says no such function day. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is the other problem that you're going to have with SQLite. Oh my god. you see, we have these functions that work with, what's this? These functions that work with MySQL. So SQLite doesn't have some of these functions. So it's saying it doesn't know what day means, or month, or year. So that is tragic. Yeah. This is not good. Okay, so let's see how we can salvage this query. How we can do it without having to evoke these functions. So what you can do is you can Google what the alternative is for day. Let's see. SQLite day function. Let's see if that exists. And what results we're gonna get. Well, my internet is at a snail's pace, which we can't wait for, unfortunately. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this query, hold it there, and what else? Do we even have this between? I hope we do. There's also this one, which has the same thing. Okay, the other one's date. The problem is that we don't have a date function in, we don't even have a date column. So anything to do with date must be removed, I guess, because there are no date functions. Okay, so what I want to look at is the date format that we have and see if I can salvage this query. So in order to do this, let's do a little investigative work, and I'm going to have to get my my database again. Right, let's go to DB, my DB. Oh no. Okay, so database structure. Now, what I want here is to look for the, let's see, even the products. Let's browse data. Is there a date here? That's what I'm looking for. Okay, there we go. So if you look at the date, it's a string really in here. So we're going to use string functions instead. So we have a year, a month, and a day. This is the format. So what I want to do is I want to see if, let's go to cells, if certain functions work. Let's go to users. Okay, and let's try to run a query from here. Execute XUL. Very good. So I'm going to say select all from users where username, right? There we go. Like. So I want to see if this actually works. So I'll put some wildcards and say EA like that, because I know there's a name that kind of resembles that. Okay, I need to put quotes on here, I guess. Let me just put E for now. Let's put a wildcard there. Oh, wildcards are already there. So near percent. Okay, so it doesn't know what the wildcards are at all. So if I run this, wait a minute, it works. How does it work when it was saying syntax error? Jeez. Okay, so it actually works. There's E in both of these. So this actually works, which is nice. I like this. So what I'm going to do is use that instead. So we'll say from cells where. So we're trying to match the day, the month, and the year like this. Okay, so what I'll do is here, I'll do this. Okay, so I'll just create a new thing and say my date is equal to. Then I'm going to join these guys. Now here I'm going to look for the separator that's used, which is the dash for dates. So I'm going to create a string. I'll put double quotes so that it evaluates from within, and we saw that the year is what starts. So year, and put a dash. Okay, maybe this was not such a good idea. What I'll do is I'll just concatenate a dash, concatenate a month, and then concatenate a dash, concatenate a day, like this. Okay, so we've just reconstructed the date to match the date that we know is inside here. Now I want it to match this date but without the times here. So I'm going to tell it that it should match the front part, but the ending, I don't care what's there. As long as the year, month, and day are matching, then it's good. So in order to do that, we just need to put a wildcard here, which is a %, which means we don't care what comes after the day. So this is what we want. So I'm going to copy this, and here I will say from cells where, instead of matching these guys, I'm going to say where date. I'm going to use the like keyword, and then we'll put my date like that. So my date will contain this with its wildcard there. So this should solve the problem. So let's do the same thing down here as well. Copy, and because we are doing the same thing here, today's record, same thing here. So what we'll do here is I'm going to duplicate all these so that you can have copies in case you want to keep the old one. Date from cells where. So here we have the month. If the month is equal to this month, year is equal to this year. So it's only the month and the year that we're going to match. So I'll do this and say where my date is equal to year and month. Wait. Month and year. So we start with the year because that's what we have in our database. The year always begins, it starts with the year. And let's just remove the, oops, what have I done? This was supposed to be here. So my date is equal to year, that, and let's just remove the day like so and put the wildcard there. So here we're going to say where date like, and then we'll say my date like so. Good. Same thing here. We go for the year record. Okay, so as long as it's the same year, it shouldn't matter what comes after the year. So I'm going to put that there, and let's remove the month as well. So as long as the year is the same, what comes after that doesn't matter. So I'm going to say where date like, boom, like that. Okay, let's do the same with today. So today we have this, right? We have the year, the month, and the day should matter, but the rest should not. So I'm going to duplicate this again, and then put the, here I'll say where date like, and the today, right? Now the today needs to concatenate a wildcard as well here so that it doesn't matter what comes after that. Okay, very good. Now since this is a string, let's put this in inverted commas as single quotes like that. Okay, just to avoid any problems. Let's do the same up here, single quotes. Okay, good. Okay, these are inside if statements. We can ignore them for now. Let's just make sure that these queries that are outside the if statements are actually functioning as intended. Okay, so now that we have that, let's go back and try this out. Fingers crossed now. Okay, email@email.com and password. Okay, back to the admin and let's go to sales. Ooh, voila. So as you can see now, we finally fixed that problem. Now it's not showing today's record, so let's add today's records here. Add new record. So let's just add a random record here. Yeah. Check out 100, and let's add some data. Boom. Okay, pretty good. Close on that, and let's go to our cells in the admin. And as you can see, it's showing us what we recorded today. Why did it just record one item? This is insane. What is going on here? Let's confirm with our Sqlite. Discard what's here. Let's open it again. Yeah, it's cumbersome doing things like this because you have to go back and forth multiple times just to get something small. This is why it's always good you work with your local MySQL, I guess, and then finally finish up with this. Browse data. Let's go to cells. There's indeed only one record. I have no idea why it only recorded one. So let's go back to cells and add another cell. Okay, check out 80. Console. Go to admin, cells. Okay, now we have two records. All right, so yeah, this is how it's working. I have no idea why it's adding only one here. I'll investigate on that one and get back